Hello guys, my name is Khan, and actually in today's video I will show you guys that how you can merge data sets in Power BI. So actually this video is also about data manipulation in Power BI. So because in order to build any dashboard or any graph in Power BI, you must have to be very good in terms of data manipulation, so that you will be able to do different kind of complex graphs in Power BI. So first I will start with that how you can do one-to-one merge in Power BI. For this video I will be using very small data sets. One of the reason of using small data set is that you will be able to see more properly that how merging is going on in Power BI. So now, first I will start with the one-to-one merge. So actually, I have this data one which is having. So suppose we conducted a survey, and your survey company have given you a data set data one with the responses for question number 1, 2, and 3, and for these household IDs. But suppose after a month or 2 months, the survey company also shared a second data set for the household ID, but for question number 4, 5, 6, which were these question responses were not present in our first data set. Another thing to note here is that for that in this data one we have household ID 1234, which is also there in data 2, but household ID 6 is not present in data 2, whereas the household ID 5 is not present in data 1. For this video I will be calling my data 1 actually as master data. You can call it anything, but for I will be calling it master data, and I will be calling data 2 as using data. So now if you do, but another important thing to note here is that for the household ID 1, there is only one observation in data 1, and for the household ID 1 there is also one observation in data 2. So it's mean that if we will do merge, if data 1 and data 2, for one observation in data 1 there will be at least there will be one observation in data 2, or maybe there will be no observation. For example, for household ID 6 there is no observation in data 2, but if there is any ID in data 1 there will be one or no observation in data 2. So once you will do this kind of merge, it will be called as one-to-one merge. And once we will done merging, we will be having this kind of table. So that, as you can see, that all the questions are now in the one data frame. And as you can see, for household ID 5, we don't have any data for question number 1, 2, and 3, because the household ID 5 was not present in data 1. And same as for question number 6, we don't have any data for question number 4, 5, 6, because the data is coming only from the master file, which is this data 1. So now I will take you, so before going towards Power BI, I have shown you my folder. Actually I have 4 data sets for in this video. I will be using 4 data sets, but first for one-to-one merge I will be using this master data and this using data. But if you, these two datasets are in the CSV format, and actually master dataset is representing this dataset, and the using dataset in my folder is representing data 2, which is this. So both datasets are very small. So what I will do, I will first import these datasets one by one into Power BI. So now I will go to Power BI. So I will say get data. So as I have told you guys that my data sets are in text format, so I will tell Power BI that files are in text format. I will say connect, and now the first file that I will upload or import into Power BI is this master file. Let's say open, and now Power BI is connecting with my text file. As you can see, this is the same dataset that I have shown you guys also in the Excel file, and I will say load. And now, as you can see that I am currently in my report window, and after importing the dataset, you can see that master's dataset is appearing in my report window now. This means that we have successfully imported our master file into Power BI. Now I have to import my second file. So I will go back and I will say get data. Again, I will tell Power BI the file format is in text CSV. And now I will be importing this using file. And so as you can see, this is the same file which is here in my Excel file. So I will say load. So now you can see I have both master and using file in Power BI. And even if I go to my data view, you can see this is the using file. And if I go to my master file, the master file is also, you can view in data view. But now if I go to this this relationship view, you can see that Power BI is saying that, okay, this is your master file, this is your using file, but there is one-to-one relationship. So if I take my cursor towards where it is showing that there is a one-to-one relationship, you have seen that Power BI have automatically highlighted this household ID both in master file and for the using file. So it's showing that there is a one-to-one relationship based on household ID variable. So the next step is that you want to create a merged file based on both master and using. So in order to do that, because as you're going to do a structural change in the dataset, you have to go and towards the edit query, which is under the home tab. If I select edit query, so Power BI have opened a separate window for me, and because actually we have two files even in my in edit queries window, master and using, but I want to create a third dataset which will be based on both master and using. So in order to do that, because I don't want to alter my master and using file, which are the original files, so I want to create a third file. So I will just say duplicate. So now this duplicate file, this masters2 is actually the same as the master file, but I will change it as, I will rename it that merged file, merged, and I will call it M for master and U for using. So this is merged file based on master and using file. But currently this merge _M_U file, which is, you can see it here, is the same as what we have in master file. So currently it's just representing the data from a master file only. The next step that I want to merge this file with the using file. So in order to do that, you just have to go under the home tab. You have to go to merge queries. So I will go there. And now Power BI have opened a new window. So in this window, Power BI is showing the first file which you want to merge, and in here you can select the second dataset with which you want to select this file. So first, I will say I have to merge this file with using file. So now you can see in this data view that I can also view my using data. So after that, you have to select the variable based on which you want to merge both of these files. So you just have to go and you have to click the variable based on which you want to merge the dataset. And again, you also have to select the variable based on you want to merge the dataset, this file and this file. So I will say this. So now you have selected the variables based on which you want to merge the dataset. Another good feature of Power BI is that, so suppose if you have written down household ID, so in this file merge underscore m underscore u, and under the using file, it's not necessary that your variable name should be the same. Even if the variable names are different, Power BI will even allow you to select the variable. But I think it's a good practice to keep your variable names same in both the file. And after doing that, if you go down, there is a option join kind. I will go about join kind a bit in more detail. So if you go to this down arrow, so the first option is left outer, and if you under the bracket it's written down that all from the first mean that all from the first data set matching from the second. So it's saying that when we are doing a merge, that in this merge, that all the observations which are appearing in the first dataset will be shown even after the merge, regardless they get merged with the using or not. But for the using file, only those observations will be shown which got matched with the merge underscore mu file. So if I opt this option, and now if I select OK, you can, and after that you can see that my data table got updated. If I select this arrow button, you can select OK, and now you can see that my question number 4, 5 and 6 are also there, and you can easily rename this variable because it's not showing question number 4, it's telling that it's coming from the using dataset. So if you click it, right click it, and then you can rename that variable. So for me, if I go down here and if I just say question number 4, so you can easily rename it. Another important thing to now note here is that after merging, Power BI have created two household IDs, using.household underscore ID and a simple household ID from the master file. Now I will show you guys based on my Excel file that the merging option that we have used. In that option, we don't for the using file, we don't have any observation for the household ID 5. As you can see that in my using data, I was having household ID 5, but the household ID 5 didn't appear here because we have told Power BI that keep all the observations from the master data and only show those observations from the using data which got matched with the master data. So from our using data, the observations 1, 2, 3, 4 got matched with the master data, but the household ID 5 unable to match with master data. That's why we don't have household ID 5. And in this kind of merge, because our household ID is capturing all the ID variables. So that's why this using household ID variable is redundant. You can simply remove this column 2 as like this. So this is one of the way you can do merge. And now I will show another kind of merge you can do in Power BI. So I will, just for simplicity, I'm going to remove this data set. And now I again do the same step. I will just create a duplicate copy of this master data, and I will again call it merged underscore m underscore u. And now again I will go to merge queries, and again I will do the same step. I will select the variable based on which I want to merge, and then I will be selecting this using data. And then now the important thing is that I will change my join kind. So I will go to this right outer. So this right outer saying all from the second and matching from the first. So it's just like the reverse what we have done before. But now I will be saying that keep all the observations from the using and only keep those observations from the master file which got matched with the using file. So if I do this, so if you quickly look at this dataset and this dataset, that household ID 6 is not present in household in using file. So it's mean that in this kind of join kind, in our merged file, in our final result file, we will not be having this household ID 6, but we will be having all these 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 household IDs. So if I set, and before doing that I also have to select the variable based on which I want to merge these two datasets, and then I will say OK, and I will expand this arrows, and now you can see that everything is coming from that my household ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but there is no household ID 6 because I have told Power BI that keep all the observations from the using file regardless they get matched from with the master file or not, and from the master file only keep those observations which get matched with the using file. And again in this case this variable is redundant because it's not completely having all the household ID. So in this case you will be deleting, you can remove this variable and you can simply rename this variable to household ID again. So I will be saying just household ID. So because this variable is having all the household IDs, so there is no missing household ID. So this is another kind of how you can do merge in Power BI. And lastly, I will show you the third kind of merge which you can also do in Power BI. So I will again going to delete this folder, this file that I have just created. Delete. And again, I will go to my master data, will create a duplicate copy of it. Again, I will rename it. The M is for master file and the U is for the using file. But currently this merge underscore MU is exactly the same as this master file. And now I will run a query on this file. I will say merge query. And again, I will select the variable based on which I want to merge. And then I will be selecting the using file with these two files I want to merge. I will select the variable based on this merge will be conducted. And after that, the last thing that I would like to show is that there is a full outer, means all rows from the both. So if I select all rows from the both, OK, and if I expand it, so now this kind of merge, you can see that Power BI is showing us all the observations. So we have household ID used from the using and the household ID which is coming from the master file. But here, and a thing to note here is that both the household ID which is coming from the master file and from the using file are not complete because we have a null value in using household ID because household ID 6 is not present in the using file, and whereas in our household ID which is coming from the master file there is one null observation because household ID 5 is not present in the master file. So in such case of scenario, you can create a new household ID which will be having all the values and without any missing values. So in that case, if you want to create a new household ID, what you can do towards add columns, and under the add column there is a custom column. So you can create a new variable. So I will be saying household ID, and here I can write down a condition based on I want to create this household ID. So I will be saying if household ID, so you can just simply double click. If household ID not equal to, so in Power BI the not equal to sign can be written down like this, and then I will be writing null, and then I will be telling Power BI then assign the value from the variable household ID, else assign the value to this household ID. So if it's null, then Power BI will go to this using household ID. And if I say this is the condition that I will be putting. If I said OK, now you can see that in my new household ID there is no null value. All the household IDs can be seen in this household ID variable. And now in this kind of merge, the using household ID kind of redundant now for me, and also this. So I will select both of these variables, can go and remove columns. So now you can see that your data set is now more precise, and now your household ID variable is capturing all the IDs. So this is a bit short overview how you can do one-to-one merge in Power BI. So now what I will do, I will go to Home tab, I will say close and apply all the changes. And Power BI is applying all the changes that I have done. And now if I go to my report window, even if I go to merge_mu, you can see that Power BI have updated all the variables, even have created this new variable that I have just created. So currently I have shown you guys how to do one-to-one merge, and after that I will quickly show that you can also do one-to-many merge. So to show you what does it mean by one-to-one merge, I will take you guys back to my Excel file. So in Excel file, I have another tab for you guys in which I will be showing what does it mean by one-to-many merge. So suppose you were doing a household survey. So for each household, you capture some demographic variables like where the household, what is the country of the household, what is the state of the household. So these are the variables which are constant for each household. But suppose within that household there are multiple members and you have asked different questions to each member of the household. So in that case, so this is our data 3, which is about demographic of the household, whereas our data 4 is a member level file where we have asked different questions to each member of the household, and in each household there are different number of members. So suppose for household 1 we have 3 members and we have asked 3 questions to each member of household ID 1, whereas for household ID 2 we have 2 members, and that's why we ask 3 questions to each 2 of those members. For household ID 3 we have only 1 member, and again same for 4 and 6 household IDs. And again there is some household IDs which are missing in data 4 and also in data 3. So as you can see, household ID 5 is not in data 4, whereas household ID 4 is not present in data 3. So if we do this merge in Power BI, and if we keep both the observations from master and from data 3 and data 4, we will be having this kind of file. So now I will take you guys back to Power BI, and I will show how you can do this kind of merge. The process is still the same. So now what I will do, first I have to import these data sets into Power BI. Again, I will go to get data, and both of the files are again in CSV format. So I will tell that the files are in text CSV files. And first I will import data3. We'll open it up. And I will say load. And the next thing that I will get import is data4. So I will select data4. I will say load. This is the same dataset that I have shown you guys in the Excel. So now I have both data3 and data4 in my report window. And now if I go to my data view, you can see on the right hand side that I have data3 and data4 too, data3 and data4 too. So again, these are the same data set that I have shown you guys in Excel. And now if I go to this relationship view, you can see that Power BI have telling me that, okay, these are the kind of relationships that, so suppose if I go to my data view, so in the relationship view, you can see that what kind of relationships we have. So between different files, because currently we have 4 files in our window. And the important thing to note here is that, so if I go to data3 and data4, so actually currently my main focus is on data3 and data4. So now I want to do merge. So I'm going to do a structural change. So I need to go to edit queries. I will go to edit queries, and Power BI have opened a new window. So again, I will delete this merge file just so that you guys don't get confused. This merge we did based on master and using file. And now my main focus will be to merge data3 and data4. So in order to do that, again, I will create a copy of data3. So I will say duplicate this dataset. So I will be in now data3 2, which is the copy of data3. And now I want to merge this dataset with the data4. So in order to do that, I will be going, but here we have data3, which is unique at the household ID level, but data4 is not unique at household ID level. As you can see, the one household ID can be mapped to multiple household IDs in data4. But Power BI is strong enough to see that it's not one-to-one merge, it's a one-to-many merge. So you just have to go to merge queries, and Power BI have opened a window. So I will select the variable based on which the merge will be conducted. Then I will be selecting my data4, and here I will be again selecting my household ID. And in this case, Power BI will automatically decide that, okay, we have selected household ID 1, which is unique at household ID level, but this household ID which I have selected in data4 is not unique. So it means that we will be mapping one observation to many observations in data4. And now I will show you guys another option that you can opt. So here is another option. In my previous merge, I have shown you how you can do the first 3 kind of merge. And the last thing that I will show about merge is the inner, which is showing that only show me those observations which got matched. So if I select that, and if I select OK, and if I expand those, and now you can see that, as you can see that this variable is redundant because this is actually the same as this household ID. So you can simply delete it. So it actually deleted all the columns. So what I will do, I will just quickly repeat all the steps again. So I will go again to merge queries, select my using data, which is data 4, and then I will select the variables in both the data set based on which I want to conduct the merge, and I will be using inner only matching rows. And if I select OK, and if I select expand, it's OK. So now you can see that we have two household ID columns, household ID and the household ID which is coming from the data 4, but both the columns are exactly the same. So what I will do, I will just delete this column. Remove. So now you can see that you have done one-to-many merge in Power BI. But now if you go to this is showing us that now we have just asked Power BI to only show us those observations which got matched, which will be these ones and these one. So actually in this video I have shown you guys that how you can do one-to-one merge and one-to-many merge. And before closing your window, don't forget that you have to go to your home and have to tell Power BI that close and apply all the changes that you have done. So it will take you back to your report window, and even it have updated the relationship between the data sets too. So if I go back to my report window, now I have this master file. You can rename it too. So it have all the variables even after the merge. So in this video I have shown you guys another way of data manipulation through merging the file. Thank you for watching the